Sarah was driving home late at night. As she traveled along an abandoned road outside the town, everything felt strange. The light from her car's headlights was obstructed by vague shadows, slowly moving through the darkness. She didn't want to leave the road, but there was no other way to get home before dawn. As she drove cautiously, her headlights illuminated a dark shape. Was it a human figure or just the shadow of a tree? Taking a deep breath, she stopped the car. A voice inside her head whispered, "Keep going," while another urged, "Slow down." Conflicted, she decided to keep driving. Suddenly, she heard a tapping noise from the back of her car. She quickly turned her head, but saw no one. About a kilometer later, she came to a fork in the road. One sign pointed toward an abandoned house. Hesitantly, she drove in that direction. Out of nowhere, her engine stopped. Stunned, she tried to figure out what had happened. The car wouldn't start, and she couldn't reach anyone for help. A silhouette in the window of the house caught her eye. Slowly, she watched as the window began to open. A voice, deep and chilling, said, "Come inside." She stepped back instinctively, but something seemed to push her forward. She had no choice but to enter. When she walked through the door, her footsteps creaked against old carpets that seemed to respond to her every move. Suddenly, a shadowy figure appeared in the hallway. Swallowing her fear, she felt it grow stronger with every step. Taking a deep breath, she continued forward. The house was abandoned, but something was missing. The remnants of someone's life lingered in the air. In the kitchen, she found an old photograph. The people in the photo seemed familiar, but their faces were erased, their eyes blurred. Sarah felt her stomach turn. Out of nowhere, an old radio turned on, emitting only strange whispers. Something was definitely wrong. A scream echoed from deeper inside the house. Startled, Sarah moved toward the sound. As she walked down the corridor, she noticed a door slightly ajar. Her mind wrestled with fear and doubt. Yet she had to go inside. Pushing the door open slowly, she saw something glowing in the dark room. Then she caught sight of her reflection in a mirror behind the door. The silhouette in the mirror was so vivid that Sarah found herself moving closer. As she examined her reflection, she realized something strange. It looked just like her, but its face was blank. Everything felt real but horrifyingly wrong. Panicking, Sarah stepped back, but the door suddenly slammed shut. She immediately tried to reopen it, but it wouldn't budge. That's when she noticed something in the mirror. There was someone else in the reflection, but it wasn't her. Slowly, she backed away. The more she stared into the mirror, the more she felt a hand grab her body. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the dark corners of the room, rushing toward her. Within seconds, she realized the figure was indeed coming for her. But then, strange glowing symbols appeared on the walls, as if etched by an unseen hand. These symbols reminded her of eerie carvings she'd once seen near a river, chilling her to the bone. When the door finally opened, the air outside had changed. Stepping out, Sarah realized the town was more deserted than ever before. She looked toward the road back to the town and saw it had disappeared. In that moment, a flash of light blinded her. There was something behind a door she hadn't noticed before. Shadows in front of the house began moving, slowly returning to the building. Meanwhile, the silence in the town was deafening. Taking a deep breath, she convinced herself it was all an illusion. Step by step, she retreated back into the house, losing herself within its walls once more. As she heard the door shut behind her, she was alone again. Conflicted thoughts clouded her mind. Where is this place? Am I truly alone in this house? A chilling laugh echoed through the corridors, guiding her further into the house. At the end of the hallway, there was an old broken door. She felt a strange pull toward it. As she approached, she heard a whisper behind her. "There's no way out." Sarah, her heart pounding in the oppressive silence, walked toward the door. Behind it lay deeper darkness and even more horrifying secrets. But what she didn't know was that this house was only the beginning. Megan had just moved to the city on a gray and gloomy autumn morning. She had settled into an old apartment, but when she found the place, she thought everything would be fine. A new beginning. However, since the day she moved in, something felt off. There were almost no people in the building, only the sounds echoing in the hallways, and a strange coldness, a gloomy atmosphere in her apartment. A week later, one evening, she heard a strange noise coming from the basement of the old building. The sounds were like the creaking of wooden floors. Shortly after, she noticed a door in the staircase she hadn't seen before. It was an old door leading to the basement. It was so old that all that remained were rusty hinges and a cracked frame. Given how long it had been there, why had no one ever noticed it? Her curiosity whispered that she had to explore that mysterious place. She thought about it several times, but eventually she made up her mind. That night, late in the evening, she opened the door. She stepped inside. The basement looked abandoned, but something was still there. Old furniture on the floor, yellowed newspaper clippings on the walls. As Megan moved deep, she noticed something else from the depths of the room. A creaking, the sound of something moving. "There's no one here," she whispered to herself, but the fear inside her made her hesitate. As she entered the room, a cold gust of wind hit her face. The sound of the wind grew deeper, as if it was echoing in the basement. Taking a deep breath, she took a step toward the corners of the old room, and then she saw an old photo frame on the wall. Inside the frame was a picture of a woman. The woman, though she was outside the photo, seemed to be smiling in a way that made Megan feel as though she was staring directly at her. Megan tried to look away, but something stopped her. The woman. The woman in the photo was moving. Suddenly, the woman in the picture winked. Megan jumped back in terror. Her heart started pounding. She closed her eyes and tried not to look, but in an instant, everything went dark. In the dense darkness surrounding the room, she heard a scream. Was it a real scream, or was it just echoing in her mind? When Megan opened her eyes again, everything around her had vanished. The only thing left was that old photo, and the woman's smile. Now it looked one step closer. Megan recoiled in horror. But then, a hand touched her shoulder. Slowly she turned. Behind her, the silhouette of the woman stood. Her eyes had turned completely white, and her teeth were long and sharp. The woman opened her mouth, tilting her head to the side as she approached Megan. "You discovered the secret floor. Now I'll take you here." In an instant, everything grew darker. Megan tried to take a step, but her body had frozen. The woman's breath, short and broken, echoed in her ears. And then, everything went silent. Only the woman's laugh remained. Before Megan could scream, she vanished into the darkness. The next day, the building's residents found the basement door wide open. When they went inside, there was nothing there. It was abandoned. But the most intriguing part was that the old photograph in the basement had disappeared from its place. Whenever someone tried to trace the photo's origins, they would find the picture of the woman smiling. But then everything would turn dark. So would you come here? Do you have the courage to explore the secret floor? If your answer is yes, subscribe to our channel and don't miss the next chilling story.